Hi everyone, and thank you for tuning in. This time, finally, the Skaven will make their move and have their first battle report in the first round. It's their turn to move, and it will move to the Sage's Hall. Here, the winning Warband will have to pay half the price for hiring a Warlock and pay half the price for buying a Tome of Magic, which surely won't come up, but the most important part is you may choose a spell rather than randomly generating it, and this will be counting also when a wizard is leveling up. That's the goal of the game. Let's see how the Warband's looking. The Skaven being led by an assassin with a pair of weeping blades. He knows the skill tail fighting, so he has an extra attack with a single dagger. And then on the second step of the stairs is a Ashen sorcerer. He knows the spell Doom and has a sword. After that, there are two black Skaven armed with a pair of fighting claws each. Then there are two Night Runners with a sling, but one of them dived into a well last game and swallowed a bunch of bad water, so he misses this game and has acquired the name Pisspelts, therefore. Then there's also a Warlock. The Warlock knows the spells Luck of Shemtek and the Sword of Razabel, so he may be good in close combat. Then are two henchman groups, one Verminkin group with club and shield, the Club Rats, and a single Verminkin with a spear and shield, the Spear Rat. And last but not least, three giant rats. Up in the center, the Orcsmen led by their boss Madrek the Cruel. He's a boss armed with a big axe and a Morningstar. He also wears light armor and has a skill Wild Art, so a 5+ armor save in total, and has toughness 5 by now. To the left is the shaman Ulkor, armed with a spear and knows the spell Fists of Gork and has Fearsome. And he suffers from Nurgle's Rot, so he has to take a toughness check at the beginning of the game and maybe lose a point of toughness. On the right, the two new boy heroes armed with a crossbow each and have the skill Quickshot each. Then on the floor are the two biggins. One is armed with a big two-handed club. That's Agrim Atmosher. He has the skill Strongman. And on the right is the second biggin, Zuck Git Ripper. He's armed with two swords and has a light armor. Then there are four normal boy henchmen, two armed with spears. They have weapon skill 4. Then two single boys armed with two axes each. The one in the middle with the yellow cloak has also Nurgle's Rot and he's already down to toughness 3. And last but not least, 4 goblins with short bows. They have ballistic skill 4 and a single goblin with sword and shield, weapon skill 3. The battle today will be a treasure hunt. It means that anywhere within the buildings of the ruined Mordheim city will be a treasure. And on the right hand side are the Skaven deployed versus the Orcs on the left hand side. So, treasure hunt, normally when you enter a building you roll 2d6 and if you roll a double 6 then you find a treasure. I tweaked the rules so there are different locations marked by these grey discs, and if one of your Warband members reaches the disc you flip it over and one of the discs has a yellow X on the back, so that's where you find the treasure. Going over deployment, Barnabas and the giant rat will venture into the ruins on the left flank for the Skaven. Then in the center is the assassin along with the Night Runner and a club rat with Startail, one of the black Skavens. That's the name he got to tell them apart. On the wall is a single giant rat and on the floor is a second club rat with the other black Skaven. Then on the other side of the building, the last giant rat, the sorcerer and the spear rat. Going over to the Orcs, they spread out as well to reach the different treasure sites. Starting on the right side with the boy who has Nurgle's Rot, so he has to pass a toughness check, which he failed. So he loses another point of toughness and is now toughness 2. He's accompanied by a single bow goblin and the goblin with sword and shield. In the big yellow building is the crossbow hero Ruglut, and down is the big Agrim Atmosher. Also 2 normal henchman boys down in the tunnel. And right to the building is Madrek, accompanied by 2 goblins with bows. He will march over the planks in the middle of the table where are 5 possible treasure sites. And for the last Warband members of the Cruel Boys we have Hakon, the second boy hero with the crossbow, Ulkor the shaman accompanied by a spear henchman, then a Zok, and the last goblin. On this flank again we have 5 possible treasure sites. Behind that, in the split buildings, 1 on each side. 1 in the streets, 2 along the watchtower, and the last one in the greenhouse. That's all the treasure sites. This is the table, and there's one last thing to do. Ulkor has to pass a toughness check for Nogus Rod. He needs a 4, and he gets 1. Already at the start of the game, there's one point of interest who's in reach for the Black Skaven. He goes up, and it's a blank. So the search goes on. On the right flank, the Giant Red and the Spear Red, along with the Sorcerer, venture into the greenhouse. So the Sorcerer will be on the point of interest for his next movement turn. Near the center, the Skaven closing in on the courtyard from the walls. The Assassin staying on top and will be searching in the split houses, whereas the Nightrunner already jumped down and has to pass an initiative check. Needing a 4, and it's a 5, so he falls to the ground, which will be 3d3 hits. That's 3 hits with strength 3, so it will be force to wound. And a 3, 2 2s, no wounds. Then going straight into magic, Barnabas will need a 8 for his sword, and he fails. So on to Orcs. And starting with the animosity rolls, the Goblin passes, the Orc Boy passes as well. The 2 Goblins on top. The right one fails with a 1. And let's see what he gets. It's a 1, so he heard some insults and out for vengeance. So he will shoot at the other Goblin. Hits on a 5, and then strength 3, toughness 3, leaving a 4 to wound. No, it's just a warning shot. Then continuing with the animosity, boys down in the tunnel. The right one also fails. And yeah, he just does nothing for the turn. The Goblin is good, and the last Goblin fails. The boy passes, and this Goblin will also stand still. Then the boy goes on to treasure hunt, and it's a blank. The rest of the movement for the Cruel Boys, the Goblin with Ogre advancing towards the watchtower, then back in the big yellow building, Rookloot going to the window and preparing for shooting the next turn. One Goblin stepping forward, the other one can't move because of animosity. Vadrek going over the planks towards the center. He has toughness 5, so no fear at all. Ulkor, the Spear Boy, and Zok marching up, while the Goblin is going on to climb the tower. Then going straight into shooting phase. The Goblin shooting on the Giant Red. It's long range, and the Giant Red is in cover, and he also had moved, so it would be a 6. Shaman advancing on the point of interest. And will it be the treasure? No, it's another blank. Then the Black Skaven also trying to find the treasure near the watchtower, down at the stairs. Another blank, so he's also unsuccessful. Startail will try his luck. And blank for him as well. Then the Assassin into the first of the split buildings. It's a hard one to get. And it's a blank as well. And the last one is the Nightrunner directly in front of him. Another chance to find the treasure? No. And again in the magic phase, Barnabas tried to cast a Sword of Razabel, and with the 10, it goes off this turn. Animosity rolls, the Goblin on top, passes with a 5. The Spear Boy alongside Ulkor, he rolls a 1, but a 6, so he will just stride forward to show the other boys how it's done. The Goblins, they are friendly this turn. Spear Boy down on the streets with a 6, and the one back in the tunnel, 5, he can move as well this turn. This Goblin also passes, the boy on top passes, and the last Goblin also passes. No animosity. climbing up the tower to hopefully find the treasure near the fire station. Nope. Zoc is within 8 inches of an enemy, so he cannot reach the treasure this turn. But Ogre can run towards the watchtower, and nope, it's another blank. Then yeah, as said, Zoc just moved forward, as did the spear boy. Ulkor just hiding near the fence. And the 2 goblins, one of them ran off the planks. In the streets, 2 other henchmen, Vadrek going in front of the giant rat. And some charges. The goblin on the left hand side charged the club rat. But starting with the shooting phase, the goblin shoots against the giant rat. And he hits on a 5 and leading a 4 to wound. The 1 is a failure. Right. Then over to Ruglut. From the window to the walls. He shoots at the black Skaven. 2 shots needing 5s and 2 misses. Then to the other goblin who stood still, he will shoot at the giant rat again. Hits on a 5 this time, but doesn't wound. The other goblin ran up, so it's just Hakon. And he tries to fire at the black Skaven at the cross, directly in front of him, so it's over half range. 2 shoots, again needing 5s to hit. Hits a single time. Strength 4 against toughness 3, so a 3 to wound. Gets a wound, so Skaven has no armor. And a 4 means the Skaven is stunned. On to charges, the spear rat strikes first, hits on a 6, no parry for the goblin, and wounds on a 6 as well, so it's a critical, and just ignores armor save, so going straight onto injury table, the goblin is stricken down. The assassin exploring the other split house, running over the planks with a movement of 12. He gets there with no problem. And no treasure for him as well. Down in the courtyard, the Night Runner searches in the well. And he finds the treasure. So the club rat will go into support, jumping down the wall, and makes an initiative check. So he can lend a hand to carry the treasure away. Then Barnabas has to pass his leadership, which he fails, so he loses his sword. But he and the giant rat will charge the orc. The other giant rat charges Vadrek. Startail crawls into cover. Down in the streets, the other black Skaven charges the spear boy. The sorcerer jumped out the window and attacking the knockdown goblin, so more or less a free kill for him. Then the club rat with the giant rat attacking Agrim Metmosher. Starting with magic this time, the sorcerer will try to cast Nordum. He needs a 7. And he rolls a 8, so it's been cast. Therefore 2d6 hits at strength 1. 7 hits. And the orc has already toughness 2, so it's 5s to wound. 3 wounds. On the injury table, a 6. The orc has been taken out. The Night Runner with the treasure shooting a slingshot against the goblin and misses on a 5. Then Barnabas trying to cast his sword. Would have been an 8, so he fails this turn. Then continuing with close combat. The Orc Boy has a spear and therefore strikes first against Barnabas and hits on a 5, needing a 4 to wound. He fails. Then the Giant Rat attacks first, needing a 4 to hit. It hits, but with a 5 to wound, fails on a 2. Then Barnabas can attack without his magic assistance and he fails on a 2. Going over the Giant Rat against Vadrek. Giant Rat needs a 4, fails on a 1. Wadrek has 2 attacks and misses both because he has a hand wound and is already down to weapon skill 3. Spearboy attacking first against the Black Skaven, needing a 4 to hit, fails. Then the Black Skaven can attack back with 2 attacks, needing 4s to hit, hitting 1 time. Then strength 4 for the Black Skaven, so he will need a 4 to wound as well, therefore going through the armor. And the injury roll says a 4, so the boy has been stunned. Fighting under the watchtower, the Giant Rat attacks first. Giant Rat fails, then the Club Rat fails also to hit. Then Ogre can strike back. He attacks the Club Rat, hitting on a 6, and then wounding on a 2. Everything goes through, and the Verminkin is taken out. Sorcerer fighting against the Goblin, he hits automatically and wounds on a 4+, so the Goblin is taken out. Though he has his armor save and he fails. And the last thing to do has been all alone check for the boy, and he fails spectacularly on a double 6. So the Rat and Barnabas get a free attack each. So starting with the Rat, hits automatically and doesn't wound on 1. Barnabas on a 2 also doesn't wound. So the Orc boy runs away 7 inches. The Orc boy trying to rally, and with a leadership of 8 he fails. So running again 4 inches towards the table edge. Then going over to Animosity, the Goblin on top of the tower fails, and with a 5 he stands still this turn doing nothing. The 2 Goblins with shortbow on the planks, double 3, they both pass. The 2x henchman passes as well. And the last Goblin, who is not in combat, on a 4, passes as well. The rest of the movement is pretty simple. The boy with the 2 axes charged the Black Skaven as well. And the 2 Goblins with short bows closed up to have a better sight of shooting. 1 core charged the Giant Rat, and Zock advanced up the stairs. And going straight into the shooting phase, starting with Ogre. Through the window he will fire 2 bolts against the Skaven Sorcerer. 5 and 6, 2 hits, strength 4, needing a 3 to wound. 2 wounds as well, no armor save for the Sorcerer. And with 6 he takes him out immediately. And the 2 Goblins in the center, 1 ran and the other one moved up, so 5 he hits the Night Runner and the 1 doesn't wound. So no success for them. Then Ogre, the last one to take a shot. He sees the Night Runner as well, but he's behind the fence, so long range and in cover means that he needs a 6 to wound. And a 3 and 4 means 2 failures. Close combat. Skaven have high initiative, so the Giant Rat strikes first, hits, and would have needed a 5 to wound. So Ogre hits back, hits on a 4, wounds on a 2, and smashes the Giant Rat. Then the Orc boy with the 2 axes charged and fails both attacks, so Black Skaven can strike back, hitting 1 time on a 6, and with strength 4 hitting a 4 to wound, wounding on a 4, no armor for the boy, which means on a 4 he's stunned as well, so maybe Black Skaven can take them both out next turn. The Giant Rat attacking Wadrek hits on a 6, but fails on a 1, so Wadrek strikes back. 2 attacks, both hit. And wounding with a critical wound, which means a 3 on, it's the X, so 2 wounds instead of 1. 4 and 3, 2 stunt results, so the Giant Rat fails the initiative and loses its balance, falls down, takes 3 hits at strength 3 and 2 failures, but 1 goes through, so another wound for the Giant Rat. and it dies from the impact by falling off the plank. Ogre forgot to cast his Fist of Gork, but with a 3 he fails the magic as well. So just one single attack with the spear, hitting on a 3, and then wounding on a 3. 6 is a critical hit. And a 3, just 2 wounds. 4 and a 5, he takes out the giant rat. The Skaven suffered some casualties, but they want to remain in the fight because they want to keep the treasure and it doesn't look that bad. So a leadership of 7 passes, Skaven can continue. And the spear rat charging over the wall onto the goblin. In the center, the vermin hurled the treasure away. The black Skaven stood up and jumped over the barricade into cover. On the left flank, Barnabas is alone against Ulkor, and the assassin ran over the planks, over the rooftop, and jumped down with a jump attack against Zok Gitripper. Then going into the shooting phase, where the Nightrunner will sling 2 rocks at Vadrek, hitting 1 time, and then wounding on a 6. Vadrek has to pass his armor save and he fails. He loses a wound. And he dies. Talking about the lucky shot, it's dividing attacks. 1 attack kills the knockdown orc and the second kills the stunned orc automatically. Barnabas trying to cast a sword, fails again. So just a regular attack with 3, not good enough to hit. So Ulkor can strike back with his spear. With a 4, he hits Barnabas, but a 3 is not enough to wound. But let's go over to the assassin with a jump attack. 3 attacks, hitting on 3s. 2 hits, the dagger and the whipping blade. No parry from Zok. With the jumping attack it's strength 5, so needing 3s to wound. And a 6 is a critical hit from the dagger, because of his tail fighting. So the dagger is a 5, so 2 wounds instead of 1 and +2 to the injury roll. And the 4 becomes a 6, he kills Zok immediately. Death from above. It doesn't look that bad for the Orcs. The Black Skaven is all alone, so Huglut can fire 2 crossbow bolts at him. And the 2 goblins have clear shot at the Nightrunner. Ulkor, Fists of Gork, can turn the tides as well. So let's have a leadership check, and a 10 means the Orcs retreat. Victory for the Skaven. The Skaven open up the treasure they retrieved, and within there are 11 gold crowns and a suit of light armor and a single sword. That's it. Well, could have been better, but that's Mordheim. As for the casualties, 1 giant rat died and 1 of the club rats also died as well. The other ones survived. Therefore everybody gathered some experience points. The assassin leveled up and has 2 wounds now. The Black Skaven also got 2 wounds now, and for his double kill acquired the name Zickzack. Startail just got 1 experience point, leveling up next turn if he survives. The Ashen Sorcerer has acquired the name Whisper, speaking to all the little rats who devoured the rotten orc boy with 2 axes. He leveled up and he learned a skill, so he could choose which spell he learned because of the Sage's Hall, and now he knows the spell Children of the Horned Rat, which summon D3 additional giant rats at the beginning of each game. Pisspelts stayed at home, but the other Nightrunner leveled up 2 times because he killed Vadrek and found the treasure. So he got 3 experience, leveling up twice, plus 1 ballistic skill and a new skill, so he's now a weapons expert with a crossbow. And for his marksmanship he got the name Deadeye. The 2 groups of Verminkin both level up 1 strength. Then in the exploration phase they found 4 weirdstone and a corpse with 6 gold. Then they sold 3 of the weirdstone for 60 gold, paid the upkeep for Barnabas, hired a new Verminkin and a giant rat, paid for the crossbow for Deadeye, and bought 2 lucky charms, one for the assassin and one for the sorcerer. For the orcs, Mosnik, the boy with the 2 axes and Nurgle's rod, died. Therefore, with him and Ulkor passing his toughness check, Nurgle's rod has also left the warband, and with him, Gaudin, the goblin, also didn't make it. The heroes survived. Zok Gitripper was unharmed, but Vadrek lost an eye from a well-aimed slingshot, even further cementing the new name Deadeye for the Nightrunner. But the survivors leveling up, so Agrim Atmosha learned a new skill. He's resilient now, as is Ulkor the shaman, who leveled up as well. Then Rukulut, the boy hero with crossbow, learned another skill, so he's now a trick shooter, which means he ignores cover saves when shooting at his target. In the exploration phase, the orcs found 3 Wheatstone, a corpse with a dagger, and another survivor. Then they sold those 3 Wheatstone for 55 gold, hired a new boy with sword and shield, and Gaudin II, a goblin with sword and shield. Also, they purchased the helmet for Vadrek and Zok. And with only 1 warband, the Restless dead left with making their turn. This is how the campaign map looks so far. Thank you very much for watching, and hopefully till next time when the Restless dead take on the Skaven.